and welcome to a brand new podcast. Now, before we get into this, let me just address unheard notes. First off, the 3 episodes that are available on my channel, I am immensely proud of. And to have done unheard notes even for a little while is an achievement. But owing to copyright problems with YouTube, well, let's just say it was going to be more hassle than it was worth to try and carry on the podcast for now. So for now it's resting. It may return in the future, but for now it's resting. But not all hope is lost. This is a brand new podcast. This is the introductory episode to 007, the BONDCAST. Essentially what I want to do in this podcast is look at each James Bond film, all 25. And should they happen to release any more whilst I'm recording the podcast, then it will just get longer and longer. I don't believe that this podcast can run out of steam. It's going to be a lot of me talking. I'm going to try and get guests, maybe fans of Bond, stuff like that, on the show. But for now, it's just going to be me. The plan is to do like mini-series around each film. 10 episodes, roughly, per film. Obviously starting with Dr. No and working up to No Time to Die and beyond. Obviously if they release Bond 26 in the next year or two, well, there's no way I'm going to get 250 episodes done in that time. It's going to be a weekly podcast, so there's only 52 weeks in a year. That doesn't even cover half of the 250 that we could currently have. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to focus on all sorts things from within universe. The plots, the stories, the missions, the way that Bond gets rather... Well, he doesn't have it easy, but he always gets the girl at the end. We're going to look at all the in-universe stuff. We're going to look at behind the scenes. We're going to look at production elements, locations, all sorts. Yeah, the music, like not just the generic sort of James Bond theme, but the musicians that did the intro songs, like Tom Jones with Thunderball. Sam Smith with The Writings on the Wall, Billie Eilish with No Time to Die, Adele with Skyfall, just to mention a few. We're going to look at so many different elements of James Bond. If you're listening to this and you haven't a clue who James Bond is, then I think you've been living under a rock, I won't lie. James Bond is... he's a fictional character. He has been played by 5 different actors. Those actors are Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, and the most recent, Daniel Craig. George Lazenby is the only actor to do 1 film, because his agent suggested he didn't do any more, so he wasn't tied to a lengthy contract. But a lot of them did a lot more than just 1. I think Roger Moore was the longest serving actor to play James Bond. There are, like I said, 25 films within the franchise. There's theories online that James Bond is a code name. But it has been debunked by Albert Broccoli, Barbara Broccoli, and Michael G. Wilson that actually James Bond is one character. So, come episode 250, if they don't release any Bond films before I get there, I suppose the question on everybody's lips is, well, at the end of No Time to Die, it was said that James Bond will return, and that was at the end of No Time to Die, the 25th film, but at the end of No Time to Die, James Bond died. So it's a head scratcher, because at the moment nobody knows how James Bond is going to return. Did he actually die? Or were there some missions between Spectre and No Time to Die that we didn't know about? And when we see Madeline Swan, played by Lea Seydoux, at the end of the film, driving with hers and James's daughter, Mathilde, in the car at the end, and she says, "I'm going to tell you a story, and his name is Bond, James Bond." Are there missions in between Spectre and No Time to Die? And is that how James Bond returns? Who knows? There's so many theories floating around. But James Bond, essentially, is an MI6 spy, agent, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, he's a brilliant character, and the actors that have played him have been absolutely fantastic. In 2022, it celebrated 60 years. 60 years. Because the franchise started in 1962. 1 year before Doctor Who. Just I throw that in there. So, this episode is relatively short because we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of stuff in the next episode, which should be up next week. For those of you unsure of the date, I am aiming to get the first official episode of the BONDCAST up by no later than Friday the 22nd. But if there are delays, Sunday the 24th or Monday the 25th, but the aim is Friday the 22nd. I look forward to talking James Bond with you all, and seeing where these missions take us. I have been your host, Kyle Holman. This has been your introductory episode for 007 The BONDCAST. And for today, I'm going to leave it there. Next week is the first episode for the Doctor No series. Thank you for listening. Goodbye, everybody.